Test one two. Test one two. Test one two three four.
Roulette, a 37-year-old resident here in Maine, and killed Johann Sebastian Guerrero in cold blood. We have been covering this story all week here on the ground in Maine. There's going to be an organized protest with speakers. We're going to talk to people on the ground here, guys. There's likely going to be a march, so we're going to be marching. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel and everything on social media to support. Make sure you go to statuscoup.com/join for as low as $5 a month to support us on the ground and keep in.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you are all having an awesome day. I am having a lazy day, but I still got up and I still fucking protested today. You know what? I still got up and I still marched in the streets and said we are tired, we are sick and tired of this government using our tax dollars to murder people in our streets. We are tired of this government using our money to blow up people, desalination plants, energy plants, and bridges in the name of what? For why? We are tired of two service members dying in the Middle East. For what? For fucking what? So here we are, Maine. We DSA and socialist parties of the United States organized some protests. They are still a smaller party, so these protests were definitely not as big as normally they get, but it's just a reminder to them that we, the people, are going to continue to be a thorn in their eye, hold them accountable. We are going to fight for a better country for us, and there's not a damn thing they can do about it. They're going to do lots of things, but ultimately the people will win.
Independent media going. I believe we're going to try to. Are we going to try to do an interview, John, before the speakers? Okay, so we're going to try to do an interview. Let's talk to Kyle, who is actually a resident here. Kyle, good to meet you. You live here. Yes, right. Talk about it.
It's been pretty surreal, to be honest with you. This week has been just incredibly long. I was out here Monday for the vigil, and then Tuesday just marching in the streets with everybody, and it's still a lot to process. Even ever since Catch of the Day.
You never think it's gonna be you. You never think it's going to be you or your city, your town, anybody you know. But it could happen to anybody. Could happen to me. Even my aunt who voted for Trump. She's like, why don't you want him to get rid of the criminals? I was like, because I fit the description. She's like, no, you're right. They're going to pull you over because you look Mexican as fuck.
Day.
Did you ever feel like that stopped? Like,
I mean, they definitely changed their tactics and how they were going about things. But I feel like in the last few months, it's not even just here, but across the country, like they've really stepped things up. Obviously, like in Texas, now here in Biddeford, like it's just
And
unbelievable.
like, how big is the immigrant population in Maine that they needed to do this?
what do you want people to know most about the community out here in Maine, right? You know, me and John have been covering these ICE tragedies around the country, but what do you want people to know about Maine?
Mainers stick with each other. Like we were out here. Like I couldn't believe how many people were out here Tuesday. Like during the week, I'm sure more people are going to be showing up here shortly. But just the sense of community has been like unlike anywhere else I've lived. So
Seriously, and like the amount of people showing up out here using their voice, you know, it's something we've seen all week from the vigil to the mechanics park just right down the road.
down there yesterday.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. I stopped. I hadn't been to Biddeford since it happened, and I wanted to leave some flowers at the memorial, and that's still sitting very heavy with me too. Like it's just being there in person and being able to see like his blood still on the sidewalk. It's unlike just unreal.
Yeah, and that people don't realize that until we show it or you talk about it, that his blood is on the road. They left him out there for 5 hours.
Yeah, it's so inhumane. Like I don't know how you can do that to anyone, let alone like someone with social security number and just I don't understand it.
Right, and then when we hear about the ICE agent who killed him, David Broylette, just an absolute nutcase.
Just an absolute loser. Just
Yeah, and there's more reporting that actually Jolly Good Ginger, you know Jolly Good Ginger?
yeah. I actually saw him here on Tuesday.
Yeah, he just did an interview with. Yeah, he's over there. He just did an. Yeah, you'll see him again. Hey, there he is. So he just did an interview with his ex-wife, and we found out even more information. He's like he's threatened her in the past. He's been abusive.
I haven't seen that yet. I saw the alternative.
Yep. Like, he called his ex-wife and asked her to lie for him. She says that he threw boiling hot water on her, or hot water at her and her while she was holding a child. Like, just a man who definitely shouldn't have been in law enforcement, but was able to get past their under get past. I mean, the qualifications and the bar is really low for ICE officers that they're hiring now. They're like, are you willing to be racist? Yes. Are you willing to lock people up that and violate their constitutional rights? Yes. It's like, all right, you're hired. Literally what they were doing.
That came out like yesterday, but no, I'll have to watch that. That's wow.
Yeah, he just did it this morning. That's why he wasn't at the morning protest. Otherwise, he would have been there with us this morning, but he was actually doing that. So, but tell us about that. Like, you know, we continue to give these ICE agents that have no training and are also very abusive, right? Like, they're just the worst people, right?
No, I mean that type of job is always going to attract just these real sickos that just want to project power in some way, whether it's through violence or, I mean, it just weak masculine men is what it is.
And then, ironically, when they're posting high T like,
It's like you got Pete Hegseth just being the most low T dude out there. It's crazy. It's crazy.
and then these people are in charge of us, and then they want to fund so much money to these militarized.
And that's the one thing with, like, if you talk to most people here today, you're going to find out that, like, most Mainers don't like Susan Collins at all. And she's a big proponent of a lot of this, between just, like, allowing ICE to be funded in the way that it has been. It's crazy. They're better funded than most militaries on the planet. Like, how does that make any sense? And just between her and doing that and just, like, lining her own pockets with her husband, like, we need to get all those politicians out there doing that, man. And the insider trading just got to stop.
Right, like there's so many problems in the entire political establishment.
Seriously.
And I've actually seen that here in Maine. There might not even be people that might be left wing, you know, that are speaking to us that are like, yo, that.
All right, let's see. Good showing. Good fucking showing. Show up, Mainers.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robin, and I'm an organizer with the Maine Party for Socialism and Liberation. I promise I do know who I am. Let's have everybody come in together, especially if you're behind me right now. Come around. It's going to be easier to hear. We'll have a great lineup of
Smart,
speakers.
smart.
We want everybody to be able to hear, and that way
I can hardly hear her.
come in behind.
I'll turn her up a
So
little
what
bit.
we're here for today is to fight for justice for Johann Sebastian and Lorenzo and all of the victims of ICE terror. We're here to demand and fight for full rights for
I like this sign. ICE pulled the trigger. Senator Collins gave them the gun.
We're fighting for ICE out of Maine and all of our communities. Today, over 70 cities all across the nation are taking to the streets to fight against the Trump administration's war on immigrants. In the past 8 days, 4 people have been murdered by ICE or died in ICE custody. This year alone, over 20 people have lost their lives because of ICE.
Shame! Shame!
We need ICE. There was a time in my lifetime where we didn't have ICE.
True. Facts.
What is it for? To terrorize our communities and hunt down people in the streets.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I'm here because I am sick of it. Enough is enough. I'm not going to allow ICE to terrorize my neighbors anymore, and I'm so happy and proud as a lifelong Mainer to see you all out here.
I really, once I move into my new apartment, I'm going to get my license squared away, and I'm going to go on these ICE watches. I'm going to follow ICE around and honk and just be a nuisance, okay? Because, and I hope I don't get shot. Like, fuck me. But at this point, that's the next step in this evolution or revolution, is putting your body on the line, putting your freedom on the line for what you believe in. And if you believe that this shit is wrong, if you believe that we can do it better, if you believe that our country is headed down the wrong path, then you gotta get involved. You gotta be willing to sacrifice some time, sacrifice your body, sacrifice your freedom to go stand up and fight back to these fucking assholes.
To demand that as well. So like I said, we have a great lineup of community organizers and leaders in our community to speak today. We're going to start with Faisal, who's a civil human rights advocate and founder of the Carolina Peace Center.
Yeah, you got one. So Zach X is over there across the street yelling at the protest. He's an out-of-state agitator.
Yo, who is this fucking loser, bro? Like, I can understand if you do not agree with everything PSL says, if you don't agree with, I don't know how you can, but I can understand that. But like, to come out of your way and be like, hey, fuck you, you protesters, is like, okay, well then shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry, we are using our First Amendment right to try and bring a better our country, The fuck are you doing, stupid fucking baseball glasses, motherfucker?
Came here to target the protest. He's got Methany over there with him.
Yo, Methany! They call her Heffany!
Portland! Portland!
Fuck that mother.
Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe that we, all of us, can come together and fight back this tyranny, this violence, this horrible crimes on our streets? Do you believe, Portland? You gotta get so loud today so the people on the Pennsylvania Avenue can hear you clear and loud. Portland, are you ready to fight back?
The chants today, they were peak. They were pretty good. I like it a lot better. We were a lot more vocal with less people, but yeah, like I said, it was a smaller march. It wasn't no Kings.
Are you ready to take back your streets? All right, we're gonna come back to that believing part soon. As we look around here right now, as we look around and we look at each other, to our left, on our right, in front of us, and behind us, we notice something beautiful happening at this moment in Portland, Maine, all across the state and all across this country. Something is taking birth. This is a new America, if you look around each other. An America of people of all backgrounds, of all immigration status, people of all different colors and faiths and no faiths, standing shoulder to shoulder today. And we are coming together because we want violence and brutality to end in our streets now!
Good shit. Good shit. Good shit.
We want peace. We want to live in dignity and respect. We want our elected officials from both parties to show courage, to show strength, and to stand up for justice. I demand our elected officials, Democrats and Republicans, independents, everyone in power, to uphold the principles and values that enshrine in our Constitution. ICE, as an organization, has much power because it has been heavily funded by both Democrats and Republicans. It is our responsibility to hold members of both parties. And I, and we, demand Maine's Attorney General to launch a thorough and transparent and rigorous investigation into ICE agent who killed Johan and bring him to justice and accountability. We are learning that this agent told his ex-wife that he was one of the who pulled the trigger and that he defended what he did. The people of Maine deserve to hear the truth. We demand that Attorney General update his community on regular basis about the progress of this investigation and the steps being taken. We can no longer just assume. We will not wait. We want answers now! I believe in the unity of the nation that belongs to people of all backgrounds and colors, white, black, and brown. We believe in this nation belongs to indigenous communities and black communities alike. We are here because we had enough. We are here because our brother Johan Sebastian Guerrero, a younger father, a working man, was killed on the streets of Biddeford. We say his name, Johan. Lorenzo Salgado Arua, killed in Houston. We say his name, Lorenzo. Renee Nicole Good, killed in Minneapolis. We say her name, Renee. Alex Jeffrey Pretty, killed in Minneapolis. We say his name, Alex.
Alex.
We say their name minds and we do not forget. We honor their legacy and we honor their humanity by being strong, by being courageous, and by being brave for fighting for justice and for peace. So many others in ICE detentions have been violently killed, murdered because of their existence, because they stood for the truth, because they were trying to portray the best of our humanity. This is not who we are. We are tired and we will not give up. We will not surrender to bigotry and hate. We will not bow down to bullies and to fascist ideology. We will not be intimidated by the white supremacist ideology, by being chased, intimidated, and attacked in our streets. I believe strongly that we shall overcome this. I believe that we are in the process of
believe
something
that we
very
will win.
beautiful to come. I believe that we are honoring today's Johan, our brother who was killed in broad daylight.
We
on the
believe
streets
that
of
we
Biddeford.
will win.
And we honor his legacy, and we honor his family, and we honor his daughter's dreams, hopes, and aspirations. Hopes and aspirations by saying, I believe we are a nation that can no longer and will not push into corner by bigots and racists. I believe that we are going through a new birth. I believe we are living through the transformation of a new America. And I believe that we will not be crushed because we have come together. When we are united, we are powerful. We will not be humiliated. We will not bow down to bigotry, hate, racism, and white supremacy. No more anymore. I believe that the future of this country is beautiful and grand because there are more good people in this nation. People who know that what is happening in our country right now, the policy raining down on our streets, the fear, the hate, the bigotry is not who we are. And I believe that many of us who have been silent, who have been intimidated, are ready now to speak out. I believe it's time for them to speak out. Break away from the shackles of fear, from the corporate control, from the grip of wealth and power, and to let your conscience guide you to truth and to justice. What is ICE doing in our streets where their tactics of intimidation and brutality against civilians, against immigrants and refugees, particularly black and brown immigrants and refugees? Let's call it what it is. It is mimicking what is happening in occupied Palestine, in Gaza, in West Bank. The genocide is still going on as I speak. The genocide still going on. The ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian streets is still going on in broad daylight. And the same playbook is mimicking here. Let's not forget, many of our law enforcement officers are trained by the same Israeli occupying forces. This brutality, this violence is something that the United States has been exporting abroad. And unfortunately, it's now coming back to us in a boomerang. Back on our streets, staring right in the face, demanding something of us. And as I come
Not
to
a great
and we have the
speech.
responsibility
A little bit too
as
long.
the beautiful fabric of our nation to be strong, to be
Alright,
courageous.
Let's get it to the next video. And this is what we're protesting. This is what we're trying to prevent. This is what we want to see an end of. We want our money to be used for Medicare for all, for community college for every U.S. citizen. We want no more murders in our streets. We want the Gestapo to be disbanded. You know, it's simple things, little things that'll make our lives better.
The White House has just called a lid, meaning we do not expect to see or hear the president make any public appearances for the rest of the day. However, I have met some people here in Bridgewater who say that they are attending a black tie summer bash at Bedminster. It's worth noting that the president does hold fundraisers throughout different weekends.
We have a breaking news update to Donald Trump's disastrous Iran war and the topic of our previous video, which was about how Iran has killed at least 2 additional American service members and a third remains missing, bringing the public total of confirmed U.S. casualties on Donald Trump's watch in a war of choice that he started to 16. The breaking news update is this: the United States has launched retaliatory strikes against Iran, and Donald Trump has given his first public statements since the confirmed casualties in question. And spoiler alert, he doesn't really give a damn. He's still golfing this weekend and hosting parties at Mar-a-Lago. And when you see his public statement, it will be very clear to you that he's a malignant narcissist and a sociopath of the highest order who is truly detached from the destruction that he has unleashed. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Again, breaking: U.S. launches retaliatory strikes to, quote, swiftly punish Iran. United States Central Command says today at 6 p.m. Eastern, U.S. forces began launching new airstrikes against Iran at the Commander-in-Chief's direction. The strikes are designed to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and swiftly punish the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces who launched attacks against American service members in Jordan last night. That's the breaking news. The war is escalating. The war of choice that Donald Trump started and that has killed 16 confirmed, publicly confirmed, and there may be more, American service members who are dead because of Trump, 168 Iranian schoolgirls that Trump killed with a double-tap Tomahawk missile strike, and thousands of civilians in Lebanon,
Costs us about $45 million to kill those children.
Israel, and Iran, to say nothing of the hundreds of U.S. soldiers who have been wounded along the way. Speaking of Donald Trump and service members who pay the price for his absolutely disgusting war of choice that he promised he would not get us into, we have his first comments. Donald Trump gives first comments on troops killed by Iran, and this comes from a News Nation correspondent. So we're going to play this clip.
So Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, you just got off the phone with the president. Give us some insight. What did he say during that conversation?
Xavier, that's right. We hadn't heard from the president yet about these deaths, so we decided to call him to see if he had a reaction, and that was the first thing I asked him, what his reaction was to the news of these 2 U.S. service members that were killed in Iranian attacks yesterday. The president telling me he finds it very sad. He says it's a very sad thing. We hate to see it happen. But then the president told me it's in service to our country. They're never going to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And that's a line we've heard from the president before. We know that is his driving force that he has repeatedly said when it comes to this war in Iran. And I quickly asked him what he thought of Iran also saying this weekend that it no longer plans to follow that memorandum of understanding. The president telling me I couldn't care less.
You know what he couldn't care less about? The 16 service members he's gotten killed, who are dead because of him. It's very sad. You can almost hear him. It's very sad. It's very sad, but you know, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. You told us last year during Operation Midnight Hammer that you totally obliterated Iran's ability to have a nuclear weapon. And then you got us into a second war because you said that you needed to obliterate their capacity to have a nuclear weapon. You lied last year, and you're possibly lying now. And as a consequence of this, 16 American service members are dead. Again, Hannah Brandt of
16 American women, men and women who decided to protect our country are dead. For why? For what? For who? I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. I have no idea what this war is about. All I know is gas prices are up again. Inflation is up. My groceries are up. Home ownership is getting further and away, and it should be getting closer and closer.
News Nation talking about this on Twitter, saying that Trump, quote, couldn't care less about the memorandum of understanding being gone. Quote, it's a very sad thing. We hate to see it happen. Then why did you start this war? Why did you launch this war? There was no actionable intelligence that says that Iran was close to having a nuclear weapon. Your own intelligence agencies, your own director of national intelligence said as much. Tulsi Gabbard has resigned. Her top deputy resigned as well in protest over this war. You went to war under false pretense. You started an illegal war under false pretense because if truly the goal was to eliminate Iran's nuclear capability, you told us you did it last year. Folks, you should be pissed off about this, and you should demand a political punishment for Trump and the Republicans who have enabled him along the way. He lied, and because of his lies, because of his illegality, because of his warmongering, 16 American service members are dead. Fox noting that the White House is called a lid meaning that they don't expect to hear publicly from Trump. The only reason we have this statement is because News Nation called him directly. But this is what Fox News has to say.
He had argued that this was for the future, and we heard him last month during the ceasefire say that if service members were killed, it would end the ceasefire. Again, that ceasefire is no longer in effect. So the White House has just called a lid, meaning we do not expect to see or hear President make any public appearances for the rest of the day. However, I have met some people here in Bridgewater who say that they are attending a black tie summer bash at Bedminster.
Must be fucking nice. Must be nice to attend a black tie ball at the Bedminster's golf club while men and women are dying in the Middle East for a war that nobody wants. Must be fucking nice, bro.
It's worth noting that the president does hold fundraisers throughout different weekends at many of his facilities.
So there you have it. He's hosting black tie events and these sorts of things, parties going on, rather than actually confront this, rather than apologize to the American people. He's hiding. And what statement he did give when the press sought him out was wholly inadequate. Then you have one of the other top warmongers in the administration, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, saying, "Godspeed, heroes. Their sacrifice only stiffens our resolve." A war of choice that we were not pulled into, that you did not inherit. You chose this. You chose to get these people killed. With your incompetence, your bloodlust, staggering. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy says this: "For those of us who pay attention to the hour-to-hour pace of the Iran war, things are getting very dark quickly. 2 more Americans are dead. The scale of attacks and threats of escalation are increasing rapidly. Trump has frighteningly lost control of this war." And it is true. He does not have control of this war. And again, I'm just taking the gloves off, rhetorically speaking. And so there's this, image of "I did that," and Trump posting up. I have been dropping it under all of the posts I can find talking about this tragedy, how 2 more American service members have been killed. They were killed because of Trump. So again, I did that. Trump. I did that under Midas Touch talking about it as well. I did that under the House Republicans talking about this. I did that. Trump did that. Trump did that. Trump did it. Nick Sorator apparently has footage of the particular strike, or at least some of it. Some of the strikes in question.
For what? For what? Like, literally, I thought we had a deal. Gas prices were going down. There weren't any more missile strikes. The only issues were Lebanon and Gaza. And then last weekend, he just started shooting missiles again. They say he doesn't have a plan. They're like, "Oh, Republicans have no strategy for Iran." I don't think that's actually true. I think it's more true that the strategy is prolong this war past or into the midterm, so they use this as an excuse to fucking cancel the elections or have the reject the election results. I think more likely they're just going to reject the election results.
Unbelievable. Nick Sorator, by the way, MAGA lunatic. So I posted the Trump did that, Trump did that, Trump did that. Friend of the show, Mike Nellis, has also been taking the gloves off and getting very real. 2 more service members have been killed in this illegal Iran war. Another is missing in action. And I will ask again, for what? What are we accomplishing here? Trump has no plan, no clear mission, and he's getting our sons and daughters killed for his own vanity. He says, until Trump uses another dead soldier's casket in a fundraising email? I'll give it 12 hours, because Trump did that before. He got American service members killed, then used their casket as a fundraising email. When the dignified transfer of the remains of some of the soldiers killed on his watch were in attendance, Trump was just absolutely disrespectful, wearing a hat. Imagine Barack Obama starting a war of choice, getting 16 American service members killed, and then showing up to the dignified transfer wearing a hat. Imagine what Fox News, what MAGA Republicans, what Donald Trump would say about that. Mike says it's extremely important when talking about the fatalities in Trump's illegal war in Iran to use the words, quote, at least, before giving a number. At least 16 U.S. service members have been killed. I would simply not put it past them to lie about the body count in this conflict. Very true. We have no reason to trust this administration. Mike also pointing out, I'll tell you what, if Barack Obama had launched an illegal war, 16 service members were dead, and another was missing in action, the MAGA media machine would be frothing at the mouth. Right now, quiet as a church mouse, fucking cowards.
For real.
Beyond the obvious, the worst part of 2 more U.S. service members being killed in this war is that Trump and his neoconservative allies are getting exactly what they want. They want this death. They want this violence because to them, it justifies the illegal war they're profiting from. And I will remind you that the Trump family is indeed directly profiting off this. And that Trump has been doling out defense contracts to firms and organizations and companies and businesses tied to his sons directly. War profiteering of the highest order. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth saying Iran does not control the Strait of Hormuz, and Mike Nellis making an Avatar The Last Airbender reference. And sure, there is no war in Ba Sing Se. In other words, what Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump say about the Strait of Hormuz is just demonstrably false. Iran does control the Strait of Hormuz, and who knows where this will go. But again, Donald Trump chose this war after promising that he would not start a war like this. He did start it. The economic consequences, the diplomatic consequences, the deaths are piling up. It is Trump's fault. It's the Republicans' fault. The midterms are approaching, and here's our opportunity as eligible voters to make a statement and to politically and electorally punish Trump and the Republicans. Vote them all out. If there's a Republican on the ballot, there's no room for them in government. Vote them out in favor of a Democrat, and let's bring this war to an end. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.
I think that we are in trouble.
Were spotted within weeks. In a post on Truth Social, Trump once again blamed vandals, claiming the floor was slashed.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Trump found himself in yet another feud of enormous national importance, right? The reflecting pool. Yes, he's still up in arms over this damn pool to the point that he's now building a wall. Well, a fence around the pool anyway. Also, while assigning FBI officers to investigate the rampant vandalism he claimed has sabotaged his slimy reflecting pool.
Well, there's one person in particular who's going to look really stupid now that the reflecting pool has been drained down at the National Mall. There are no signs of any slashes or a 350-foot gash down the middle of the reflecting pool, as Donald Trump has been lying about. There are signs of a shoddy paint job that was done down here. You can see some splotchy paint marks up and down the bottom of this reflecting pool, but nothing like he has been talking about over the last several weeks.
And like blocking off a national monument for what? It's like, bro, what are we doing here? What are we doing
If
here?
anything, you see what looks like a very long drainage trench that runs down the middle of the reflecting pool, but again, no major signs of any kind of vandalism approaching anything that Donald Trump has been talking about. He owes a lot of people an apology, especially those who have been arrested in all of this. The person who is responsible for the bad work down here is Donald Trump.
That's right, the president's protracted Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool saga may not be ending anytime soon. The Independent reported yesterday that the public's view of the monument may remain obstructed by fencing that currently surrounds the pool's perimeter for quite some time. Meaning, After images went viral of tire tracks through the middle of the pool with little to no evidence of this alleged massive gash that merits FBI attention, the White House want to hide the pool from public view.
They just drained the reflecting pool, and that America Blue liner is now completely gray. That means the liner that Trump bragged would last a century lasted at most about a month and a half. That's what $16 million got us. And that's on top of all the issues with the algae blooms and the liner peeling off the bottom of the pool. Trump has blamed vandals for all these issues and went as far as to say there's a 350-foot gash in the liner. But now that the pool is drained, no one can spot the gash. However, photos of the drained pool appear to show tire marks on the pool floor, and people online were quick to point out that Trump took a very public joyride in his motorcade across the pool during renovations. So was the vandal Trump? The White House says the pool is being drained because of the debris that fell in during the 4th of July fireworks show. And they're using the same pool contractor from the original no-bid contract because they did such a fantastic job. They have yet to reveal how much these new renovations will cost or what will be done to prevent further shoddy work so that American taxpayers can stop sinking their money into Trump's vanity project.
Trump's renovations to the reflecting pool, including installing an American flag blue lining, have come under intense scrutiny after it required repeated drainings and refillings. Further, at least according to the president, progress has been halted by left-wing vandals, right? And as a means to fend off those alleged saboteurs, fencing now surrounds the pool. Workers have also added some mesh screens to the barrier. And if you remember back in June, chain link fencing was installed by the Department of Interior, meaning more money and resources are being spent during a time of increased economic anxiety and affordability issues, something the president claims Democrats just made up, all to spare the president's blushes.
And welcome back to the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, which right now is neither reflecting nor really a pool. It's been drained again as Trump tries to make up for the damage that was caused in the first restoration. First of all, Trump has alleged there was some vandals who put a 300-yard gash in the reflecting pool. 300 yards is the same length as 3 football fields. I see no stinking gash. I see no visible signs of vandalism here whatsoever. And though Trump has promised this to be a U.S. flag blue or cobalt or royal blue or swimming pool blue, it's just an empty shell and a metaphor for Trump's vanity projects, which have been falling apart through clumsiness or speed or sole source contracts or just through bad luck. Charles Birnbaum is a historic preservationist who initially sued trying to stop this project, predicting prophetically months ago that Trump could damage stuff if he tried doing the pool the way it was designed to be done through Trump's configuration. Birnbaum was correct. Here's what he told me about what could be the next phase of this repair.
They're going to do what they want. And I know I keep looking out of my side view mirror, but I think the best possible example is the arch. I mean, the arch is now approaching final approvals at NCPC, and it pretty much looks the way it did when the process started. And in fact, at the arch, it actually looks like something we've seen before. You know, it was not a competition for a new memorial design, as historically we always see in Washington. And then there's a process, and that memorial changes. But I think what we're seeing here is Rodney's arch. I mean, it's the same arch back once again, and there it is, and it looks exactly as where we started. It's full height, its current location is unchanged, and there has been no attempt to avoid, minimize, and mitigate adverse effects. So in response to your first question, I think that's an example of where the administration is very set on what they want. They know best in their opinion, and we're not really going to care if 100,000 people write letters and say, we don't think this should be happening.
And honestly, it makes complete sense, right? Because if there is one thing that Trump always loved, it is reflection, not self-reflection. Obviously, that would be ridiculous. I mean, literal reflection. His entire political philosophy is basically, if I can see myself in it, it's presidential. And that is what is so revealing here, right? Because this is not really about the reflecting pool and the algae that's growing or whatever. It's about the fact that Trump, once again, seems so desperate to create a spectacle out of something fundamentally trivial.
Came to your house and said, you have to be separate from your kid for a night. I mean, like, that hits at a very, I think, particular place.
Yeah, and again, I keep coming back to the purpose of these systems, whether we're talking about Homeland Security or we're talking about CPS. The purpose of these systems is to protect families and children. And here's a case where this system was abused in a way that hurt a family, our family. And then the bigger context is what you're describing, and that's real. That's there.
So part of you just want to be like, fuck you, I'm staying with my kids and send the cops.
I mean, of course, like, these are my kids, you know, like, but then, you know, you're also, especially because for 24 hours we didn't know what this even was, right? And you just, I don't know, you don't even know what you're up against. But like, any encounter with authority can create that effect, right? And so it's one of the reasons why it's so incredibly important that you have trust in the authorities, that they will treat you fairly, that they will not treat you differently because you're gay or because you're opposed to the government or whatever.
Sure.
And so
Columbia and Asylum that got shot in Maine.
Right, my head is like, okay, this is obviously either a setup or a mix-up or something, because there's no other reason why this would be happening. You're still saying that while there's a guy in a uniform and a lady with a clipboard in her hand in your home, in your driveway, and you just have to. Everything depends on us knowing.
What happened to Pete Buttigieg and his family is absolutely abhorrent. And first things first, if you were party to what happened to Pete Buttigieg, you are absolute scum, and I hope that type of misery is revisited on you tenfold. Anonymous calls were made about Pete Buttigieg and his family saying that he and his husband were doing bad things to children in that house. And they came and took his fucking kids. They said, we need to take your children until we can figure out what the hell's going on. That is unfucking acceptable in today's day and age. Unfucking acceptable. I've had people say things about me, put my address online, say that there were things happening in this house. I've even gotten a phone call from my local police department saying that they got calls about me. Luckily, I live in a small enough town and know enough people in this town, including members of the police force and of the village board, that they know that those things are bullshit, that they're false.
Yeah, do you? Do you, Big Z? Big Z? Do you? Not the Jeffree Stunners? Are those the glasses we're matching? Someone said that's you, and they're so right. Oh, because we got the drip. We got the same drip. Is that what you're saying? Heads up, some kick streamers will be at the event today only because of your presence. Unclear what they're planning. Who are the kick streamers? Do you know? D and Darius? Is Darius still there? I got tickets. Losers, man. This shit is so lame, too. Anyway, Zoran is smart and would say something which doesn't hurt the feelings of anyone, and that's the problem.
Litmus test for a politician who wants to be part of your coalition be their views on the Gaza war and their commitment to calling it a genocide?
It's one litmus test. It's not the end-all be-all, but it's a pretty reliable one because it's one of those issues that everyone can understand. It's one of those issues that has, mass disapproval. So it basically shows that a politician is more invested in doing the bidding of corporations or PACs than the bidding of the population. That's it. You could have made the argument maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, that there wasn't mass disapproval of Israel as there is one now, and therefore get away with it by being like, oh, I don't know enough about this. It's a foreign country. Not everyone is this is a divisive issue. People are divided on it. You can't make that argument anymore because the only divide that exists on this issue is not amongst the population. It's not amongst the working class. It's not amongst the voters, especially in the Democratic Party. The only divide is between the voters and the politicians now. That's it. Anyway, Zoran's answer is very good. I'm just giving you my answer or why I say this, since it was brought up as a point against Zoran, kind of, or just they asked Zoran.
I think it's an important part. I wouldn't say that there's a specific litmus test as to creating a cookie cutter of a person that I would endorse in any one which seat. What I would say is that you have to have being able to describe things as they are and being able to fight for that which working people have been denied.
But can it include those who support Israel and support America's support of Israel?
I think when you asked me earlier of what is my party, I've said the Democratic Party.
I'm asking you, though.
Yes, and my
not
point
what's
is,
in the Democratic Party, but
understood.
Yeah.
My point is that the importance of a big.
What would you do with the money? Dude, unlimited funds, immediately establishing healthcare, government-run, free grocery stores, free everything, fast and free buses, free subway, building out the public transit system in New York, expand the subway, infrastructure, jobs, good paying.
So this is the attack that just changed everything, and you can see a photo here. This is at the base in Jordan. It says photo shows a large fire burning among several containerized housing units in the moments immediately following the impact of an Iranian ballistic missile that killed a pair of U.S. service members last night. And the reason why this changed everything is because it looks like Iran figured out a way around U.S. defenses. I want to show you some video footage that's just coming out. Also, you can see it for yourself. It says video captured the moment that several Iranian medium to intermediate range ballistic missiles struck the airbase. So that would be Muwafaq, a salty airbase in Jordan. Then this is the rumors coming out. The wave of U.S. strikes against Iran is expected to be far more expansive, meaning that Trump's going to escalate the war here. With the U.S. President Trump repeatedly telling military decision makers to, quote, rain hell on Iran, which is happening right now as we speak. The U.S. military then issued a statement. Today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. forces began launching new airstrikes against Iran at the Commander-in-Chief's direction. And I always think this is interesting. Because lately they've been putting basically Trump's name in all this stuff, right? This is all Trump. That's how I read this here. The strikes are designed to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and swiftly punish the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces who launched attack against American service members in Jordan last night. And I've noticed that the Trumpers, this is all Trump's people, are banging the war drums. They highlight punish, and then this is what, again, this is one of Trump people. Unconfirmed reports that POTUS to CENTCOM to, quote, open the gates of hell on Iran. So that's the kind of language that they're using. This would be another Trumper. U.S. military is bombing Iran at President Trump's direction to, quote, swiftly punish. And again, you're looking at escalation. Another Trumper. Trump is about to demolish them, right? And this negotiations are over. One person did reply, though, and say, while our soldiers are risked their lives in a senseless war, the one who promises no more wars is playing golf. So that is Trump there. You got to see some more footage of this thing. And again, this is a big story because has Iran figured out a way around U.S. defenses? And essentially, we're much more vulnerable now. You can see it. So let's watch this together here. So it's like some of them were hit, maybe. So the defenses might have struck some down, right? There's more coming in. Must be the housing unit there that was hit. At least that's what it said before, right? Several housing units, the containerized housing units.
Brace for impact. Brace for impact. Brace for impact.
Sounds like you're saying brace for impact. And you would do these in waves. I mean, we're just watching this together here. Yeah. That's so scary. Okay, let me show you a response. This would be someone who would be like MAGA talking about and calling out the Trump people. Let's take a look at this. Tim Dillon.
They're in the White House. They have the Congress. They have the Senate. They have the Supreme Court. It is them. It is now them. I don't want to hear about the deep state anymore. You're playing me for a fool. You're playing everyone for a fool. You brought in Kash Patel. You brought in that other guy, Dan Bongino. You threw him out or he left, whatever. You brought in Pam Bondi and then threw her out. I'm sick of hearing about this deep state. All of these people, you have to be one of the stupidest people in the world to fall for this shit at this point. You are peddling the dumbest, most, by the way, I hate to use this word, but cringe.
So he's referring to Epstein stuff, but it's related to all of the Trump things, right? The Republicans control the House, the Republicans control the Supreme Court, White House, and, I get it. I see it. You'll see it in comments and stuff like that, talking about, still supporting Trump, and why is the media against Trump, or deep state against Trump, this kind of stuff. But this is the results, right? You're looking at endless war, looking at sending billions of dollars over there, and this is why your life doesn't get better in USA. I just want to make it crystal clear. This is like massive amounts of money, lives lost.
Strike was planned. That night it didn't happen, and then since then we've seen 7 consecutive nights of strikes. The Iranians tonight are saying they launched this missile strike at the base in Jordan in retaliation for President Trump ordering attacks on Iranian bridges and airports. We've seen many drone attacks on Gulf allies in recent days. Dozens of drones have been fired at Kuwait, hitting that desalination plant and power plant in Kuwait. We've also seen Tomahawk cruise missiles being fired from guided missile destroyers, as you see here, and F-18 Super Hornets being launched from the USS George H.W. Bush.
Fighting everywhere, and it's escalating, and then you get the Trumpy people out banging the war drums, right? That's why it's a major turning point, though, if Iran can get around U.S. defenses, as you can see in the video, and also the results on the ground. I also want to bring up what's happening in Iran. Says breaking Iran's health ministry says at least 50 people have been killed and more than 500 wounded in U.S. strikes since July 6th. 12 people were killed in a single 24-hour period ending Saturday, July 18th, right? So I understand from the American side, they're only going to talk about 2 U.S. troops were killed, but just to understand this is a widespread war, and just regular people, right? You, me, people in Iran, people throughout the Middle East, people throughout the world, just want to go on with their lives, right? Cut it out with this stuff, but it just keeps escalating, and I get it.
There's always an option. How long have I been muted? There is always an option to just stop. There is always a there is always the option to just not do that. We could just not be at war. We could just not tariff the whole world. We could just not be racist bigots. It's like the fact that we're choosing to do those things really makes the entire world a worse place.
People say, well, Chris, you're so dumb. We have to keep bombing them until the other side quits bombing. But that's the escalation. You hit, I hit, you hit, I hit, and it goes on forever. You can see that's what a forever war is, and you'd end up destroying everything. It's senseless. It's so ridiculous. Then this is from Iran. They say, according to the CEO of the Hormuzgan Water and Wastewater Company, following the U.S. attack on Bungie desalination plant in Jask, the water supply of 20 villages with a combined population of about 10,000 people was disrupted. Okay. So I guess we're talking about water desalination plants being destroyed. Take a look at this. This is some response to what's happening right now.
The CENTCOM statement today announcing the strikes had resumed included, quote, for the 7th consecutive night, which jumps out to me as once we've resumed the military activity, now both sides seem to be dug in for a while.
Yeah, John, I'm watching this all unfold over the recent months to where we are now. I'm reminded by a quote by Yogi Berra that applies as much to a military campaign as baseball. If you don't know where you're going, you might wind up somewhere else. And, you know, we started with whatever the objectives were. This is now all about the Strait of Hormuz, which was not an objective coming in. This is the battle for the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran has made clear they will control it, that they read the MOU that was negotiated to say that it is their right to control it. The U.S. side reads it differently. And now we have a military escalation, which is all about control of the Strait of Hormuz. I think CENTCOM believes they have a decent plan for what they're trying to do, but Iran has cards, and they're launching missiles at Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and maybe some more ships have been hit tonight. So, John, I think we're in the middle of the summer here. I think it's going to be a pretty hot summer because I do not see the off-ramp as we sit here.
And that's what they were talking about. And this was actually before the
two
Iran
service
missiles hit the base, right? Saying, you know, that there's going to be more attacks, and now if Iran found a way around U.S. defenses, I mean, it changes everything.
First, your reaction to this terribly sad news from CENTCOM.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just absolutely devastating to lose service members in the line of duty. It just breaks my heart, especially coming from a family of veterans. I mean, it's just tragic. And I think it just reinforces the reality that the United States should never have been pulled into this conflict to begin with, and that Donald Trump is waging an illegal war that is costing the lives of our service members, thousands of civilians across the Middle East, and billions in taxpayer dollars. And he is currently asking Congress for more money, and we need to
That's
tell him
crazy.
no.
They want more money to go murder and kill people. That's absolutely insane.
Absolutely not. We've already passed multiple war powers resolutions to stop this war, and it needs to stop.
And this is where I get frustrated, because in any sane or, you know, developed or normal country, you would remove Trump already. Isn't it obvious?
So we are providing joy and happiness. Unless the team loses, of course. And all this, of course, would not have been possible. And I say this because it is the truth. You don't need people to compliment you, Mr. President, but
Yes, he
this
does.
World Cup would not have been such an incredible success without you.
Stupid. Oh my god, I can't. Alright, I think I'm gonna go and do something fun. It's a little bit sad stuff. Got a lot of sad stuff. Take it easy. I hope you all have some happiness in your life. I hope things get better. Stay strong. Find your community and find a way to get involved. Good night.